All right. Hey, Thinker Metrics fam. Had to take a little break there, but I've got two more students of digital analytics for the web and social media that I promised a couple of revisions, suggestions, and critiques and whatnot of their graphs. So I want to make sure we can pop into those. So I got about maybe 20, 30 minutes. We can check that out in Tableau, get a little feedback, and have a little more fun. So just like what we were doing in the last live stream, telling you exactly how we can do that in Tableau, how I think about the viewer of our graph, what are the different elements of data visualization that make them more easily able to receive the things that you want them to get out of communicating what you want in a graph. And that will help you do so many different things, whatever that is, whether you're in a yoga studio or working at a 400,000 person global conglomerate. Awesome. So with that, let's hit up the screen and share, and boom. All right, y'all, let's pop into Tableau for some graph glow ups. Tableau famously does Monday makeovers, but never really on top of it by Monday. So we're going to do little Wednesday glow ups. So first one we have here is rare beauty, first tab, base data. I don't see anything there. So we're going to use the right click on the tab, delete. We have graph one company website visits. This does the thing with the titles that I try to avoid doing. So you can have that sheet name, which is the default in Tableau for it to pull from the tab to there. So now that is not needed to be typed 2 times. And so what type of companies are these? The graph doesn't tell me. I'm assuming they are health and beauty and hair as well. So we do have the category in this data. So that's all beauty and skincare. So I would actually put, drop the category there, and you can hit enter here and insert category. And now it's on the graph. We've got a space up there, something like that. Make it a little lower. And we know those are company names. We've got website growth. We've got the pink and the negative there. And we may actually want to put the label on here. I know in the other ones we were doing that. And that was the percent website growth. So you can see the negatives there. We have pink for all of this. Maybe on this one we do a color. So dropping by pressing Command on the keyboard or Control, dropping into the color so it's both on the label and it's causing the color to be different there as well. You can change those colors here. And in this case, since it's that gradient of the different values across the overlay there, we have choices. So I actually like this diverging ones. You know, there's obviously the like financial of like you're in the red to you're in the black. That one's another option as well. But beauty and skincare, like, you know, obviously the pink or the purples, maybe what you do for that. I don't know. So cool. You can do that. You can work with the opacity to make it a little bit better. You can add a border. So very cool. Also sorting. So we had that in the order we had for company name, but you can also do it by the number. So this is a lot easier for a viewer than if we go back to the original, you're kind of doing that a little bit. So unless there's a reason why you're ordering the companies on the left that way, like alphabetical, is that like something that is helpful to the viewer? It totally varies on what you're trying to show, the order of that versus the order of the number. But this one is nice. It's like kind of almost like a waterfall chart, even though it's not a waterfall chart, but cool. So you can see Merit's website is shrinking a little bit. K18 off the charts. What else do you have up here? We have that. So that's the website visit growth. I mean, the other view of that is monthly website visits. So you can see them side by side. So even though monthly website visits are, let's do that one first. And then sort it by clicking that variable, because you can sort by different variables, and that was sorting by the growth, and now we're sorting by the website visits. You can always click that little arrow next to the sort and change that as well. So you can clear the sort. Cool. All right. Yeah. So now you can see the ordinary, very popular one in class. Get your hyaluronic acid from there, or Glossier. Those are rocking out in the total visits, but they are not necessarily growing, obviously, because they're at scale for the most part, still maybe able to grow globally in other markets and other spaces. But like, that's just something to kind of show versus like, maybe good molecules, massive website growth, but a smaller number of total visits for now. So those are the ones to watch out for. So a lot of different ways you could show that. You could show that as two separate graphs. You could show them side by side, or let's try something crazy, see what happens. Change it to a dot chart, and let's see what we can do. So I'm a consultant. Consultants always like our little dot plot charts, especially the 2x2 matrices. But now we've got website visits or website growth. You could flip which one's which. So kind of like this. I'm going to say website visits. When I'm looking at like a total, so that's the growth percent. That's the visits. I'd say visits would be good as size. So that shows like kind of the impact of everything. Generally, I'm looking at shapes that I want to see filled in to make it really easy. And I'm going to crash Tableau by clicking too quickly. So, Tableau. Gotta love that. Well, I can stall a little bit by talking about I like the shapes filled in, so that way you can see them a little bit more easy. Volume is good for that total impact. And then, oh good, we're back in business. We've got the filled ones, assign that. These are all beauty and skincare for categories. So maybe we do something different. Industry, I believe. We've got that as beauty, hair, and skincare. That I really like. So maybe industry actually is shape. So you can see that really quickly. And then color. Let's make that the that rate, that growth. So I'll usually do like the rates as the color. So you can see pretty quickly that that has a very high rate of growth. It'll be obviously getting darker as you go along the website growth thing, since it's both here on the axis and the color of that as well. And we should put the company name on the label, obviously. Make it a lot easier. You could make it match the mark color. It's a little bit light for some of those, but I guess that's probably okay because you want to focus on the dark ones anyway. But that is a pretty decent setup there. So you could do website visits versus growth. And so company also, that title, like we're focused right now on health and beauty and skincare. And so it's like website visits, health, beauty, and skincare. Cool. And we already have none. Missing field. So go with that. Cool. Could also add average line, or in this case, maybe like a trend line. Let's see, a linear trend. But actually, I don't think that makes sense. Let's not have that. Let's go with this. I like this the way it is. Website visits, health, beauty, and skincare. You can adjust the size up and down to see like what fits with your way of presenting. And that works great. Cool. Company type and industry. All right. So of the set of companies that we're looking at, so this is just showing you the mix of the ones that we have, which ones are private, which ones are public, and interesting. Okay. So we have private, public, website visits. Try it that way. Try it this way. We have the, let's put the company name here. Cool. So there's really only one listed here as a public company, which is pretty rare in health and beauty. You don't have the Estee Lauders and the others like that in here. It's the more unique ones, which is cool. So that's pretty interesting. Although I'm sure there's some recent acquisitions and everything out there. There always tends to be, and then they'll roll up under a big brand so they can leverage scale and efficiency in their operations and everything like that. But we've got mostly private and one public. So I don't know if the company type is really helping us a ton in this one. I probably wouldn't have it, but this shows us more of the mix of beauty, health, and skincare. And again, just like experiment with all of this. So we have industry here. We could organize it here by industry, which is something you can look at. And so here's another thing too, is you can use the different dimensions and measures we have, but you don't actually have to show everything, even though it's there, but it might help you organize it. So what I mean by that is, even though I put it in here to organize it so they're all easy to see, we already do have a legend there. So we could actually just totally hide this area as well. So there we go. I don't know. There we go. Show header. Turn off the header. So now it still is using it to organize it into those three categories, and the color helps us in the legend. So now it's a little easier apples to apples to compare. So in beauty, Glossier, rocking it there. Skincare, Ordinary. So while they're in the same space and there's probably products that overlap in some of these, it is a little bit different of a view. So you could show this both ways too. Maybe you duplicate this and you have one without industry and you can just see an overall view. So maybe you could start with that. You could say, hey, overall, in all the beauty, healthcare, and beauty, hair care, and skincare, these are the companies that are the top. And then looking at it broken down by the specific category of those, we have by company, we have it organized a little bit there. So just a thought, a lot of different ways to present it, but there's some options. Highly recommend just duplicate it 5 times, swap everything, see what happens. Maybe you should swap these, see if you like it like that, see if you like it like that. Hide the company name because we know those are companies, and that is a little bit more minimal. If you can do that, you should be good to go. All right, we're popping over to social media data here. We've got Rival IQ, which is the cross-platform social media platform that has some great data that we've talked about before. They have daily values, so you look at like the last month about how you're comparing to your landscape of competitors, so like 3 other competitors that are in the space that you choose, and you can see how that goes. So this one has engagement per post and average Instagram followers. So the trend here is kind of the same. So I actually wouldn't show this because it's both follows. I don't know if that's new follows. It's not followers. So it's going to probably track with the engagement rate per post. So I don't think we're getting a ton more by doing both of them. So maybe, I mean, the classic one is, that was Instagram, right? Instagram posts. So let's say we have posts per day, and we also have the total posts. So both of those are legitimate to like sort of compare to. If I put that up here, we've got the engagement rate per post and the Instagram post. So let's change this to line charts, and the color is the company name, which is a little interesting. Let's not do that. We've got engagements per post, and we already know it's Instagram. And we have posts, and we already know it's Instagram. So if it says Instagram 3 times on the screen, then we would want to reduce that. So we've also got company name there still. And here, let's change this to actually. Oh, we have that. Let's do dates instead. And let's bring company to color, and Let's do exact date. Could make, well, for fun, also, you can know that you don't have to have the same line type per graph when you're doing it this way, where you have two variables. You can have a separate setup for how you do that. So I did a stacked bar chart of the number of posts here, so you can see how that works out. So we got Road, it was probably like last day we did it, so they got them in, but not the others. And then you have the engagement rates per post. So you can see immediately Road sticks out there quite a bit on posts versus that. Actually, let's see. Let's duplicate this. We can look at it a few different ways. Let's see. We could duplicate it a bunch of ways. One, let's just start out with number of posts. And see what we got. 0 on those days. Maybe it does look better as a bar for that. I don't know if I like that. What else could we do? I think I want to do a line chart with just Road. And so I'm going to drop company onto filter and just do Road and look at them one at a time. So you can always like drill down and start with one versus the other and get down to the question. So you start here and you're like, hey, got kind of a similar mix, maybe sometimes Rare posts more than the others. Maybe sometimes it's Summer Fridays. But per post, we have a pretty strong trend where maybe there's a little spike for Rare on March 13th, but we've got some pretty huge differences on the engagement rates per post on Instagram with Road. So let's move on to talk about why that is. And here with Road, we've got just 1 or 2 posts most days, only a few exceptions there. But even though they posted twice there and not once, the once didn't do that much compared to the twice overall. They got 259,000 engagements per post. So something interesting there that I would follow up on and look at that date, look at that message, look at what post type it was, and see if we can replicate that. So very cool there. That's starting to fill out a data story. Oh, the other thing, we've got posts here. You can right click on that second variable, that second axis, and click dual axis and see it overlaid on top of each other. The second one in the bar chart for the posts, let me make that a little lighter so you can see the overlap. Obviously, the engagements per post is a super powerful metric. The number of posts, like it's good to know so you can see things in perspective and why that might have helped or not. So I'm going to make that really light so you can see that, but really focus in on the thing you want. Company name still on color. You don't need that because we focus just on Roan there as well, or Road. Cool. Let's see. What would happen if we drop this in? We're just gonna like make up some stuff. Cool. So, and I don't want to see that. So it helps me split it out, but I don't necessarily always need to see it. Obviously, there's a lot of data on here because you've got 2 variables, you've got 4 companies, but how can we show it in a way that is not as overwhelming is something to always think about. And we have a lot of numbers there, so maybe we're just doing the min and max or just the max there. So I might do something like that. I think now we're starting to see like a graph I would see in a presentation where we can still see the data there, but like we don't need to know necessarily every single number. Maybe we're really dialing it down on certain days. So you can like right click some of these and say like mark label, always show that one. Since it didn't have that there, that's a great way to individually put the ones in you want to talk about, but not the others. And so maybe you're only talking about road and you want to remove it from the others. That's one way you could just focus on those. So this looks pretty good. Engagement by company and average Instagram followers. That is not what it is anymore. This would be the engagement rate per post versus number of posts. And that didn't change because the sheet name wasn't there. So there we go. We will do sheet name. And the question could be, do more posts lead to a higher engagement rate? The answer is not yes, because here's a bunch more posts, not really a higher engagement rate. There's a really higher engagement rate, not many posts. So what question or takeaway do you want the viewer to get from this? And obviously the overall dashboard would say something like social media cross-platform data for beauty, health, skincare, hair, whatever you might have. So starting to look pretty good. Cool. Facebook. Okay. Long title, average post reactions per day. So at the very least, just to shorten it a little bit, reactions is good. Maybe let's just say Facebook reactions. It is reactions over time, but it is obvious because it's time. So kind of a lot of calls you need to make on like what it could look like. But you could do that. You could start to look at formatting here and change that around to whatever your brand colors are, what you want a border, you want the rounded corners, that kind of thing. So obviously you probably want to make it the same, but that's a lot of text. Like engagement rate per day, reactions. So this, and it's all about Facebook. So repeating Facebook is not necessarily needed. Engagement total per post. You have a great total per post, engagement rate per day, engagements per day. I mean, maybe just 2 of those, but you get the idea. Maybe shorten it down. You could write it like a sentence. You don't have to have anything that it automatically puts in there. And a reminder, you can always drop in more things there. So like for this one, whatever else we have for Facebook, you can check. Some of these need to be put down into the measures. So you can do shift on your keyboard, click a bunch, right click and convert to measure. And that'll pop them down here so you can graph by any of those. So you can look loves per day. There you go. You got that as well. So little hearts there. So loves, whoa, caps. I know. Sorry, Gen Z. You don't want to put the caps on there. No cap. We got that rocking out X'd, and that is reactions per day overall. So maybe they had some angry ones in there and not some loves. Who knows on customer service what might happen there. But yeah, you could do this totally different. And so we have regular reactions per day is blue. Maybe the loves are red. I don't know. But it kind of tracks the same. For this, I wouldn't do the same thing if it was the same trend. So you're probably good with that. Maybe you have some other thing. Let's maybe comments seems to match as well. I mean, sad. Anybody sad? Ooh, okay. Well, there might be a story there. So some sads on there. I don't know what's behind it, but that would be interesting to explore. Not that it's like a massive amount of reactions, but at least showing the distinction between 2 different things that are happening. The classic Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the other. So there you go. Yeah, I would add like a takeaway there, like what you're trying to point out. So it has some more context to it. So whatever it is, add like a takeaway, a question, or a description if you need it, if it's something that needs to be there. And again, maybe the sads is a different shape. Maybe it's sad. I don't know what it said, down arrow maybe. And then if it's 0, I don't really care that much. So maybe, I don't know if I can get rid of this at the 0.1. Maybe it won't show the 0. Or we can filter, no, maybe not. So maybe we, yeah, I don't know. There's probably a way to get rid of that, but I'm not thinking of it super fast when I'm trying to do this on YouTube Live. So we've got total views, TikTok and YouTube, like we did with some of the other companies. We have company names. So these, since they're separate, might have a little bit different of a scale. There's really not that many views for good. Molecules, Rare and Road are there, and Summer Fridays. So honestly, there's not a lot going on for those two. So you maybe want to show this for an overall thing, but like the story is for these two. So let's just keep those only so we can compare them a little bit. They're separate here. So there's a few options. Obviously, we just did that. There's only one variable name, so it's not like the dual axis like we did before, but you could bring company names already on color. So pull it out of that, and now you can see them overlapped, and you can see the distinction really different with the scale the same. So that tells a huge story. So you've got the massive one from Road, you've got Rare Beauty's little peak there, and that makes it a lot easier for the viewer to do that instantaneous comparison. And I mean, you don't even need to have the axis, but I'd say maybe views there since you've already got it in the title. And you could just say, I think if we, oh, still has that thing, all right. Got create your own calc. Okay, well, I guess that made it easier for me to find it when I was grading it, but like I would probably take that out. Let's put sheet name there, and instead of create your own calc, paste that there. Total views over time, TikTok and YouTube. Hit enter on the next line. Add company name, and see if it'll do both. There, see what happens. There you go. Look at that magic of software. So you don't even have to do anything if you change this. And instead of doing where, actually, let's duplicate that. So total views over time, duplicate. We're doing this side by side, Rare Beauty versus Road Skin. And now if I change the filter, let's just do the two small ones so we can do a little fairer comparison. And there you go. So that might be the better way to do it than showing all four since the scale is so different. And obviously, there's a lot of you have focus companies that are like, you know, Vuori and Rhone versus Nike and Lululemon. Those scales are incredibly different. And sometimes it's super useful to compare to those leading brands in the market. And sometimes the comparison is just so big that it's not as valuable. So it's up to you to figure out when the comparison makes sense to do and what way. But sometimes it's easier to like zoom in and to see the trend a little bit better by drilling down, by zooming in. Cool. There's a lot more here. I don't have a ton of time left for this one, so we're going to just kind of look through these really quickly. It looks really good here. Compound annual growth rate percentage. We've got beauty and health, which was labeled here. So we've got the eye drawn into the percentage right there immediately, which is the one we're going to be talking about. So that's perfect for the presentation sort of view. We've got a graph, all blue there. So we've got the lighter ones in Europe. So it depends on what you want to talk about. If you're just going to talk about Asia versus the US, I would maybe drop in the filter, and we could remove Europe, and then our gradient will look a little bit closer there. And so you can say, it makes sense. So that's how I've got it set up. Revenue, and yeah, so you've got revenue and market growth rates. So that's one thing to call it too. Make sure you know what you're speaking about when you're presenting. What, total revenue versus what's a stock price versus what's a growth rate. If you don't know it, don't present it. Definitely explain it if it's an acronym. This is correct, and just kind of a good reminder that people often will mix up like a stock price, total sales, total revenue, profit, which are all different things. Check out investopedia.com if you need a good definition for all of those, but it looks good here. Just a good reminder. And now we've got some of the major brands in beauty. I'm going to fit width there on that drop down. And you can see L'Oreal, Unilever, Estee Lauder, all the behemoths, and some others as well that are climbing up there. Again, you can transpose, flip. I think I'm liking it better this direction on the left to right for at least the English speaking world is kind of a left to right reader setup, but not everywhere. And that is kind of nice. Although people are used to this view as well. So it's up to you. Revenue, got the number in all of them. L'Oreal, and the revenue is both the color and that. So it's going to double hit with everything there. We don't have a lot of other data in this one because it's just Statista and they picked one particular piece of data. So that's all you got. That works. And that's revenue in billions. So the label is there. You can right click on that label and change the formatting. That's the axis one. You could say currency, no decimal places because it's a B. I can add the B there. Look at that. And then you might not even have to put the B there. So it's up to you how you put that there. That's a lot of dollar signs. Maybe I wouldn't have that. So think about how you want to set it up. Maybe the B is there and the dollar is there. That's cool. And in the pane, you can also change that the same way to whatever makes sense. So when you add the label, that it's got that there as well. Of course, you can adjust the decimal places there. If you're in the billions, like maybe just like one decimal place is probably fine. Maybe even just that. I probably put the 0.1 makes you sound smarter. So maybe we go with that. That looks pretty good. Post type, carousel. What else we got? Let's duplicate this. Seen some of the other students do this as a pie chart. See what happens. Flip that around. And we've got the sum of conversation. Okay, so conversation, let's label that. And it says conversion in its conversation. So there we go. It is conversation, which is commonly switched, but it is conversation by post type of these companies. And the companies are the color on there. So maybe we also have the company. It's kind of hard to track all these. So I'm going to make the color there the same thing. Let's make this a lot bigger. Let's close this so you can see it. And maybe make it even bigger. So carousel and video driving a lot there. Link not that much. Let's not even talk about length. Let's exclude that. Status exclude. That's more of like a Twitter, Facebook thing. Awesome. So now these are the things driving the conversation. You could see if it's just a factor of how many posts of that post type that they're also posting, but the number of posts is something you could also look at as maybe a bar chart and then show this as the mix of types of posts causing that amount of conversation. So carousel or rare beauty or video seems to be driving quite a bit. So you can obviously duplicate this, try a bunch of different things, maybe even without post type. Let's just do this conversation type by company. So you can see that this would be a good place to start where it's kind of general. You're like, overall, rare beauty is dominating the conversation, not the conversion. So we're going to change that to the sheet name, click OK, and I'm going to make those colors a little different and assign that OK. Cool. And boom. So you can do that, and then you can dive into the post types. So you could say, these are all the post types. Obviously, carousel and video are the biggest. Duplicate that. So now maybe photos and reels, maybe you don't want to talk about it. Maybe you want to talk about making those bigger so they do have more of an effect. But sounds like video and carousel are the way to go with these. And you can see if there's any difference. So it looks like there's a slight difference. Good Molecules doing video, not so much carousels, probably not on Instagram, probably on the others. So that is a point of interest to talk about. Cool. Well, let's see what else we got real quick. I'm just going to scroll through a few others. I've seen a few of these before. Search interest by states. It's really nice when you have the color here that you can see California has strongest search interest, search intent, search interest. Those are different things. So search intent. Intent is like what they are trying to do. Interest is the relative amount of searches compared to other terms. And so this one is searching for actually just the brand name Rare Beauty, where it's already interested in. And so when you're talking about this, it's like they're already interested in California. So do you want to like cater to that already existing need? Or are you going to say, hey, we want to make sure that Ohio is going to be a market that we haven't tapped into as much that we think we can. So your recommendations, your strategy, all that is kind of in your more marketing sphere of strategy. This is just kind of show you what people are searching for, not what they might be able to after you do more brand awareness, that you do more reach out, that sort of thing. So it's not necessarily a right answer just by seeing the graph. It just tells you what has happened, and then you can choose what might happen in the future through your choices. So that may be a question. Like California is in the lead with the strongest search interest. Mississippi quite low in Rare Beauty. So for whatever that's worth, you can figure out if you want to target there or not. And we have some top keywords. This is cool. We haven't seen a tree chart up here lately, so that's nice. You can choose that up here, the tree map in Tableau terms. And we've got the volume, which is different than search interest, the actual volume of the keywords here, which is really cool. So you can see what people are searching for, which might help you discover a new product to create, a new thing to highlight on a landing page, a competitive search term for advertising, all sorts of different discovery things. Maybe it's a partnership with another company that makes the thing that you do not make that you don't want to make per your own strategy because you have your own sort of area of expertise. So there's a lot of choices, but this is something to explore. Some of these will be more expensive or less expensive, depending on how much the market is competing over them and everything. So lots to go on that, but cool way to see cruelty-free beauty for Rare Beauty is a top keyword, and a bunch of other interesting stuff here as well. So quick, good way to show it. No notes. I'll just add maybe a talking point to that, but that looks good. We've got search term interest of cosmetic company is great. Super specific. Love it. Time. You don't need time there. It's okay. I know it's a time. Average search interest. Awesome. 0 to 100 shows you if it is more than 100 in search interest, which the number only goes to 100, shows you are not doing it correctly, but we're correct here with the average in search interest. And it's explaining what that is, how frequently each brand is over time, parallels. There you go. So just like Google would say, and you can see some quick things that are very interesting. The road peaks that we saw there, quite a bit above the rest. Maybe Rare Beauty's post there is a little bit interesting, or there, and Fenty's got a couple interesting spaces as well to check out. So I would get off the default colors if you can for all of these. No one wants to see a default blue bar chart, but you can do that. Let's see time trends. Let's duplicate this. So say you were talking about Rare Beauty and wanted to then let's group the others there. So now it is Rare Beauty versus the others. That's needs to be brighter. So cool. Let's do that. Is that so not very thick? All right. For some reason, my monitor, those colors are too close together. Let's go with that. Show mark labels, min max, just the max. Match mark color, bold, sweet. All right. Now we've got a little bit of a story of, let's just call this competitors. So now you've got both views. You can show that. You can show them all. You can be like, here's where everyone's at. If you wanted to do a versus Rare, maybe we do that as the second one. So here's us versus the others. and where, yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's do a version of that. And instead of that group, we can bring back the company to this one, and then maybe it is just road versus rare. Yep. Keep only. Sweet. So I would basically say the competitors in the sets, or the average compared to us, is mostly driven by road versus rare. So road has the standouts, and we're kind of similar to the other competitors. So ignoring those others, they're kind of doing as well as we are. What can we learn from these? So now you've got the start to a data story. That's looking good. We will come back with another graph glow up sometime soon. I got to head out of here, but thank you, Thinker Metrics fam, and we will end now. See you next time.